Hello and welcome to Comicstorian Weekly, the weekly show that we talk about the comic books that came out this week. It is Andy and myself. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm fantastic, Dan. Thanks for asking.
All right, let's go ahead and jump on in.
Hopefully we won't fall this week.
Every time.
All
right, so first up, we have Batman White Knight Presents Harley Quinn, number 4.
I didn't see that this was out.
We did not read that one because
Okay.
I actually left it because I knew that you've been reading the
It definitely
White Knight
wasn't, because I always go through everything
verse.
that's been bought, and it definitely was not on there when I was reading comics.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right. Next up, then, we've got Future State Batman Superman, number 1.
I'm
This
just going to start
one-
making noises.
This one, I feel like, I mean, it wasn't the best, but relatively speaking, amongst all of the future states, it was on the better half, which unfortunately kind of speaks to the state of Future State.
It was my feeling on it. It wasn't a future state.
No, it was a Batman
It was
Superman.
a Batman Superman comic.
Because it's even Bruce and
Yeah, it's Bruce and Clark. It's literally
Gotham.
just a normal Batman Super. This could have just been the next
Actually.
Batman Superman story arc.
Yeah, and I think
The only slight future state
Wait.
thing there is it's at the beginning, apparently, when the magistrate shows up.
yeah, when they just show up, which doesn't fully make sense because they kill Bruce when they first show up. But that's beside
Right,
the point.
exactly. So, while in and of itself not a bad issue,
It just was not a future
It was
state.
not a future state event. Like, this whole future state event is
They shouldn't have named it that.
to me, it's wholly unprepared,
I think,
all over the place.
I think the biggest problem was that they named it Future State, which implies
It's half-assed
it's
as
in
hell.
the future.
It's half-assed as
whereas
hell.
it's just it's an Elseworlds.
Yeah,
the
it's
most
honestly
they should have
like
just called this DC Omniverse.
something along those lines. Honestly,
you
would have been fine. It's this whole event is incredibly. It's all over the place. First of all, tone wise, story wise, obviously, because it jumps all over the place, and it is incredibly half-assed. Like I said, in and of itself, not a bad issue of a normal Batman Superman book.
Right.
But it literally
not a
could have
good
just been the
future state
next
one. Yeah.
story arc.
I was honestly expecting more of Super Sons
Yeah,
older.
that's what they should have done. They should have done maybe Damian and John.
Exactly, because then you could also go with throw in some jokes about when they were
Yeah,
the Super
yeah.
Sons and be like, hey, isn't this like that time we fought Kid Brainiac? And it's like,
I mean,
you go.
you could have even done like the new Batman and John and been
Yeah.
like, hey, made some jokes about that. Well, like, oh, I used to hang out with a Robin. Something.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
Yeah.
Like I said, not a bad individual issue, but in terms of future state, it's crap.
Yeah. Next up, we've got
I've
Future
got a lot of that
State
this week.
Legion of Superheroes number 1. I read this one. First off, the art's not the style I like. And
Which one is this? I'm
consider
sorry.
Legion of Superheroes.
Didn't
number
like
1.
it. Yeah, go ahead.
The art, I wasn't the
The
biggest
art is not
fan
good,
of,
no.
And because I have no connection to any of these heroes, the art was even worse because of that. Because
Yeah.
I'm constantly going through like,
Who is this?
do I know this person
Yeah.
or do I not know this
I
person?
didn't think the story was good. I didn't think the art was good.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge Legion guy to begin with, but I
No,
can
neither
I
am
can
I.
get behind a good Legion story. This was not one, in my opinion.
Yeah, this one I was not the biggest fan of.
I'm gonna be pretty harsh this week. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, me too. Fun fact about Bendis: if you had not heard, his exclusivity at DC has expired, and
I
he can
didn't know
now
that.
wite for whoever he wants.
I didn't know that. Good for him,
all
I
right.
guess.
Yeah, I was actually pretty pumped for that because some of his stuff is actually pretty good. Just I don't like his Superman stuff.
I was gonna say I don't hate Bendis as a writer. I know a lot of people have a problem with him. I don't really have a problem with Bendis as a writer. I feel like certain characters he's not really suited for.
Yeah,
And I think Superman was one of those.
I think he's better with the younger.
I do too. Honestly, I think he's better with younger heroes.
All right, so next up we have Future State Suicide Squad number 1. This one I thought was not bad.
This wasn't bad
'Cause
it was kind of a
interesting that
weird issue.
It was very weird, but so in this one it is actually the future, which was nice to know.
It does seem that way, yes.
It's a new Task Force X that is essentially the Justice Squad, is what they
Right.
call them. and they all look like
They're
the Justice League, kind
It's
of.
sort of like when Norman Osborn made his own Avengers team, and he
Yes.
just put a bunch of villains in Avengers costumes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like she makes Clayface look like Martian Manhunter
Right, yeah.
the whole time, and I love the fact that they do kill one of them immediately off the bat.
Well, you got to.
And
That's
they're
what
like,
you
well,
do in
it'll
a
come back
Suicide Squad
eventually.
book.
Yeah.
But the only thing
It
is,
wasn't bad. I kind of liked it.
when they show the actual Suicide Squad at the end, once again, and it's mostly, it looks like the team from the upcoming movie. Mostly. Obviously, there's a few characters that aren't. But once again, this probably could have just been another Suicide Squad
could
arc.
have.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to promote the new movie coming out,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like to me.
I think
Now, granted, this one is set further in the future, and it is on a different Earth.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that, at
I
least.
feel like this one, they had to. The future state works for the Suicide Squad because it makes you go, okay, now it makes sense why it's not those other people.
True. Yes. I will
Because
give
right
you that.
now
yeah.
we did just get that new entire squad that we got from Tom Taylor.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of good where it is at the moment.
Yeah. I
Don't
wouldn't
touch
mess
just
around with
yet.
that one. Yeah.
Let Tom Taylor handle it. He'll do a good job.
But yeah, I mean, this one wasn't bad in terms
did have
of.
a moment. I liked that they revealed this multiverse version of the crime syndicate still around.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was kind of cool because it makes you go, all right, there's a good plot point you can
Right,
get to
yeah.
that'll be interesting to see what happens.
And then the backup for this one is set super far in the future.
Wait, there was a backup?
Yeah, it has to do with.
Oh, this was the
Black
Black
Adam.
Adam.
Yeah, Black
okay,
Adam,
I actually
yeah.
really like the
I
Black
enjoyed the
Adam.
Black Adam one, and that is future because that is set in the 853rd century, which was an alternate future for DC Comics, first introduced by Grant Morrison, which was called, I think it was the DC 1 Million event.
Yep,
was
because
the
this
name
is
of it.
the
Yeah.
one where we've got Superman Prime that had been living in the sun.
In the sun, now he's
The
solid
golden
gold,
one,
which
yeah.
is always nice. So that is Black Adam that far in the future. That's the kind of story I wanted out of Future State. I wanted future in my Future State.
I really like that
Yeah.
bit. I'm glad you mentioned that because honestly, I feel like this would have sold better if it was Future State #1 Black Adam.
I think it would have too.
Which I was at first I would say, well, it's the movie, but it's like, well, we're getting a Black Adam.
We
movie
are,
as well.
exactly. If you notice, Black Adam kind of looks like The Rock in this
Oh,
comic too.
100%. They're definitely moving
I like
that
that they're so
direction.
far in the future that Kahndaq has become its own planet.
Well, actually, I love that about this future and in another one we're going to be talking about with like different people have just taken over different planets.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's just taking over the planet, so
Kahndaq is basically space Wakanda.
it does look like that. And he's like a man of peace now, and
Yep.
hasn't even transformed into Black Adam in like centuries. And then of course
He's
he has
dating Wonder
to.
Woman.
He's dating Wonder Woman, who, and this is a living statue of ivory, I believe. I forget. I believe it's ivory.
She looks like it's metal.
Well, I know, but I think originally it was supposed to be like ivory or something like that. It's been a while since I actually originally read that event. Yeah, I thought that was a lot of fun. I always like seeing the 853rd century. I think it's a really cool alternate future for DC. So
I really like that bit. Honestly, I would say that one's worth buying for the Black Adam.
yeah,
event.
I would say so. Yeah.
So, next up was the other one that I was mentioning: Future State Superman vs. Imperious Lex #1. So this isn't
like
a
it.
future where Earth has been destroyed and
Yep.
like people own different planets. Lex owns one like way out.
But it's like a
in
weird
the end
version
of
of
the
Lex
universe.
where he's like,
He's got a Lex mask,
yeah,
which is kind of like Doctor Doom, except it's creepy.
yeah.
Well, his is creepy, but it's intimidating, whereas this is just creepy.
Like that's just wrong. Yeah, yeah.
Like you clone your own face and then wore it. It's kind of like a Joker when he sews
Kind of,
his own
yeah,
face
actually,
back
yeah.
on. But this one, I mean, it had its moments. I just thought it was a cool concept of like the Earth has been destroyed. Everyone like moved to where they're going, doing.
Yeah,
their
I mean
thing.
it's a cool concept. Overall, I
But-
didn't like the story.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it
I thought it
was-
was cheesy. First of all, and not to me,
Yes,
not
100%.
fun. It was more. It was very much like a Silver Age comic, or
yeah.
like a Silver Age comic back in like 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it overall, personally.
Yeah. If you hadn't noticed, this is slightly a downer.
This,
episode.
yeah, I did. Honestly, a lot of the
the
books
next
this
one,
week I
though.
read them. I'm just like, really?
The next one I actually enjoy.
Okay.
Future State Aquaman #1.
This was really good.
This was really good.
Really
we
good.
finally start getting into
Yup.
Andy.
Yep.
We've got Jackson.
That sounded
Hyde
weird.
being
I didn't like the
older.
way you said
Yep,
that. No. Only because my name's Andy. Finally, we got inside Andy. Wait, what?
I thought it was fantastic.
I thought it was really
you get
good.
more into the emotion of. I like that they kept her young.
Yes.
So it's like her in training. I like.
See, that makes
got-
sense. You got Jackson Hyde is now Aquaman.
Yep.
So we're obviously far enough in the future. Andy's got to be around probably 16,
I
17,
love that
18-ish.
He keeps calling her Aqualass.
Hilarious.
Love it.
Her pointing out that how like, well, you're not really Aquaman. Yeah.
The classic, what you actually want of not the full acceptance, but no, she's literally the daughter of Aquaman and Aquawoman.
Yeah.
You're just another dude who's the son of a villain.
Which she points out to him a couple times. I thought this was a great story. I thought this was a good setup. And
Yes.
obviously you got to know, I don't know, like he's obviously on Neptune, but it seems like it's an alternate Neptune.
So it's not Neptune. It's called the Confluence, and it was actually
No, that's the
introduced-
ocean thing they're in. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But the planet he's like prisoner on, I believe is supposed to be Neptune.
I thought they were a prisoner in the Confluence.
No, because at the beginning it says it, like Neptune, something like that, when he's being chased by the shark riders.
Oh yeah, Neptune.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously it's supposed to be an alternate Neptune, or maybe not an alternate
Or
Neptune.
it's,
It's got
that's one of
aliens
the
on it.
oceans he was getting out
That's
of.
possible,
Because
yeah.
the Confluence, for those unaware, it's essentially a small patch of every single ocean is a part of this massive confluence, which was introduced, I believe, just prior to when Aquaman landed on the island of like Forgotten Gods.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was after the Drowned Earth event, I think.
It was after Drowned
It was
Earth
the
when
one
he
after that.
sacrifices
Yeah, yeah.
himself because that was the excuse of how all of these gods arrived
Ended
in the
up on
same
Earth,
spot. But
Yeah, this was a good issue.
so good.
It was a really good issue. Yeah, I'm
I-
surprised they didn't have a backup with this one. Like maybe what's going on with Arthur and Mara at the time, but
Maybe, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, they didn't need it.
They didn't need it. It was a
Future
great
State
issue, yeah.
Aquaman #1, buy it.
yeah. And this
That would
is
be my
like I didn't
DC
even
pick
need
of
them
the
to
week.
jump super far in the future, but this is what the event should have been. It should have been more of passing the torch, and in this case, it was like a passing of the torch and then another passing of the
Yeah.
torch because we know she's going to become Aquawoman on the Justice League. 'Cause we saw that in the other issue. This is to me what all of Future State should have been.
Yeah.
Stuff like this.
I
But-
really, really liked it. All right, next up, we've got Future State Dark Detective #2.
which is pretty much Akira, the anime. He gets You've never seen Akira? So it was an old cyberpunk anime from like the 80s, early 90s. I forget exactly. But like the bike Batman rides is straight up an Akira bike.
Oh, is
That's
it?
what it looks like. There's a lot of scenes that look like they were pulled straight out of that anime too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this one essentially goes into how Batman died.
This actually explains it.
It did.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure this one is
And then this is supposed to be,
Mariko
like-
Tamaki. And
I believe so.
I was originally skeptical of what she was going to do because I hate that she renamed Honey Badger to Scout. Still mad about that because of the fact of a Marvel comic we'll get into. Don't worry.
Sure.
But she's doing a pretty good job with this so far.
Yeah.
Her and Joshua Williamson. I think he did the backup, but
He did, yeah, the Red Hood backup.
I mean, it was good. It showed like everything about what happened to him and how he got away.
I still don't understand
like
how
that
this is supposed to be 2 years later, though.
I think
That's
this
what
is
throws me
actually-
off.
I think this so far is showing the 2 years prior,
Maybe.
and I think / hope it's going to be like this is what he did during the 2 years.
Yeah, okay. I could see that, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm hoping, but I mean it was pretty good.
I enjoyed
Worth continuing.
I enjoyed the street level Batman, which I said they should do after the Joker War anyway.
Yep. I love that this is very specifically mentions the Joker War
Yep.
and that this is a direct fallout from that.
Yeah.
Because he's like, man, these 3 corporations that weren't
That
here
weren't
before
around
the Joker
before.
War.
That's a little fishy, isn't it? Overall I'm enjoying the Dark Detective.
Yep.
I like the whole Batman versus the police state thing. I think that's a cool idea that they've sort of done other times in comics, but overall I like where they're going with it. Although once again, it's not super future-y, but that's me.
Yeah.
Like they could have gone the Batman Beyond route, which is like old Bruce is helping a new street level Batman fight a police state.
This
I think
one-
that would have been a better idea.
This one, I feel like it may not be in the future, but I feel like this is going to be one where it's like, here's the path of how we got to the future.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
yeah.
that is something that I'm okay with because at least it relates to the future, not just, hey, we put the name on.
Yeah, yeah. And then the backup is Red Hood, who's a mask bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Working with the magistrate, which is a little weird. Also with Ravager, which I actually like that pairing. I think it's a pretty good pairing.
Yeah.
That's actually the art I didn't like at all.
No.
The story itself I thought was pretty interesting.
The story itself does have some to it. I don't know if this has any relation to the other Red Hood. Didn't we already get a Red Hood, or am I thinking of another one? I think my biggest problem with Future State right now is
you talking about in the backups?
Yeah.
I don't think we got a Red Hood.
I thought we got it in like the Gotham Knights one. Like he was the one helping people escape the town.
No, that was Duke.
It was Duke.
Duke and
there's
Katana.
so many Bat family members that are in so many different like backups and main stories that it's like, can you please?
The problem to me too, and I was talking about it with Ben, is that all of the Batman books are coming out at the same time, and they don't flow in like a timeline order.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of like, because in the Catwoman one from last week, Bruce is captured on a train.
Yeah.
But in this, he's running around tactical Batman with a trench coat and a motorcycle, which is just awesome, I might admit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they don't line up properly, which one of the things I like about DC events is generally their stuff lines up pretty well. And this one, they're not.
All right. Well, that is the end of the DC portion. Let's go ahead and
large
jump
amount
in.
of
Yeah. Very meh.
Very
Except
meh.
Aquaman. Buy that
Except
one.
Aquaman.
Buy that
awesome.
one.
And buy Suicide Squad just for Black Adam.
Yes.
For the
Those are the two you want. All right.
Which,
so first
can
up,
I just point out, I don't know why they didn't come out with 2 books, because they're both normal sized.
Yes.
That's
No, I
the
thought so,
thing.
too.
They're both 20-something pages.
Black Adam would sell.
And Black Adam would sell. I don't know why they didn't do it. A lot of these backups are full-length comics.
They are.
So I don't know why they're not coming out as their own individual comic. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, that's beside the point. On to Marvel, who luckily kept it to 1 comic per comic.
It's nice of them.
Very nice. So first up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 58. So this one, we start going into some stuff with Mr. Negative. We have a guy that escaped Mr. Negative.
That's what they called me, by the way, Mr. Negative. But it's more because of my disposition. I'm very negative at all times. I don't have any superpowers.
Oh my god.
Kind of grouchy.
So essentially it's about one guy goes to Aunt May. He used to be manipulated by Mr. Negative. He was freed of that because of the Sin Eater stuff, but because of how that all resolved, he now has his sins back. So we've got stuff with him dealing with the Mr. Negative and the army of assassins. We have him like dealing with Aunt May with this, because obviously you need someone apart that's related to Spider-Man to get him interested at all.
Sure.
And in this one, we have like Peter going to Liz and kind of being like, so did you notice anything about Harry? Like
anything at all?
But I mean, it was a classic first issue of a new arc.
Okay. Kind of just a setup issue.
It's a good setup, and it puts certain things from the previous story into motion. So we do have some backup stuff with Fisk and Kindred. We have Norman and his potential theory that it might not be Harry. There's a whole thing there in the background, but I believe the next arc is going to be entirely related to Mr. Negative. And I'm definitely not just saying that because of the fact that it's called Negative Space Part 1.
I mean, he's got a lot of negative supervillains.
I mean, this is true.
With negative outlooks on life.
Negative outlooks on life. Exactly. Next up, we've got Captain Marvel, number 25. This is the continuation of Captain Marvel is in the Future. She got captured by the son of Namor and Enchantress. No, not Enchantress. Green Witch from Asgard.
Enchantress.
Is that Enchantress?
No. Enchantress is DC.
Is DC, yeah. I can't remember her name, but you know who
I could have remembered if
about.
you didn't ask me right now.
That woman.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I can't remember her name. No, it is Enchantress. Okay, it is Enchantress.
Oh.
Anyway.
So wait, they both have green witches named Enchantress?
So, I don't know.
Confusing.
Anyway, So this one is continuing the future. We get more background or Ove, however you pronounce it, the son of the two of them. We learn like how they got together, why they had the kid, why she stayed, why he killed his
positions,
father, all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Nothing amazing.
Okay.
But Kelly Thompson is doing a great job with this. It definitely increased a little bit of the tension that I'm excited to see what the next issue brings. So,
okay.
Captain Marvel number 25. Next up, we've got Conan the Barbarian number 18.
So this particular issue, I thought it was supposed to be more than one issue, but apparently, well, I guess it's technically two because the previous issue hit on it too. He's got a sentient sword that's a little on the evil side. It needs him to kill things so that it can suck up their souls, life's energy. They never actually specify. While all at the same time, like souping up Conan's strength. So
it's basically Katana's blade from Suicide Squad.
Kind of, a little bit. I mean, that's pretty standard in fantasy comics, and novels all around,
and just lore in
general. So this particular issue, it shows like because Conan actually the sword is making him see like he's in a battle, killing like demons and stuff. When in reality, he's in like a peaceful village, just massacring people. As you do. So this particular issue, you get a little bit more of these swords, like history, how it was created, how it eventually ended up into Conan's hands. He does manage to fight it off, and then it just kind of sets up the next story arc, which is he's in like a pseudo-Asian country.
Okay.
Is what it seems like. With I think it's supposed to be sort of like ye old fantasy Japan, is what it looks like, because everybody's wearing samurai armor and has katanas. So once again, if you like Conan, fun issue. Nothing like earth-shattering, just a solid Conan story.
All right.
So I think it's still written by Jim Zub, who
I
does a pretty
so.
good fantasy comic.
If you did not check it out, it is by Jim Zub. We did do an interview, or Benny and Sal from Comic Pop did an interview with him on Absolute Comics, so be sure to check that out as well.
I like Jim Zub. I think he's a good writer. So
he's fantastic. Yeah. Great guy, too.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I met him at a couple of conventions now.
All right, so next up, we've got Deadpool number 10. I loved this.
It was a fun issue. It was funny.
I thought this one was a great example of how Kelly Thompson has really found her stride with Deadpool, because the pacing was great. The fourth wall breaking made sense and wasn't out of place. Other characters were referencing it without it being awkward.
Yeah.
There were a lot of like.
Isn't this your last issue though?
Yes,
because at the end it says like next issue,
I guess
probably written for somebody else.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a good issue.
It's worth picking up. Kelly Thompson did a great job with this whole run.
It's a funny King in Black tie-in in the sense that you don't need to know anything that's going on in King in Black.
And they even reference in the comic that she was not told about the King in Black event, and that she had to write a story with the guests. And he even says, luckily you can just put a dragon in
black
and
goo,
it works.
And it worked. Because he basically just doesn't he make a team of monsters to fight against the dragon? Yeah,
and I believe they still have Dutch Oven from the first time they did it. Because one of my favorite parts was he talks to his team and he goes, "All right, we're gonna need to recruit a team of the best possible people," and they're like, "You did. It's us."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I need better people.
I need better
It's a crossover. I've got more options now."
He goes, what is he? He's like, "This is a crossover, not a premiere issue."
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was
worth
a good issue.
Picking up. I think she's done a great job. The full 10 issue, I think, is great.
Yeah, I think it was really good. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got Excalibur number 17.
So Betsy's been transported to an alternate Earth where she's queen.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I'd be cool with it. I'd be like,
right.
Look, I'm king in this alternate reality.
No, you would be queen too.
I'd be queen. I'm fine with it. If I'm a ruler, I don't care which one I am at that point.
Oh, man.
King, queen, grand ruler, dictator. I don't care. Honestly, I'll be whatever. No, it's fine. So obviously she's in the other reality. Supreme, whatever, yeah. Almighty. She's in the other reality. and the actual other reality, Betsy left her a note like, whatever you do, don't start telling people what reality you're from or like things that happen.
I don't know.
It was weird. Yeah.
All I know is that they were kind of like, yeah, no, this isn't really that strange. So
it
sure,
happens.
let's do
Yeah,
this.
and they're like, we got to get out of here. So
I like that there was a moment between her and Quanon.
Yeah.
Who they shared a body, if you don't remember.
for like decades.
For a long time.
Most of the 90s.
In fact, they only just recently split up, and Quinon's first one was the Fallen Angels.
Yeah.
Not great. No. But solid stuff.
It was a good story.
Going.
Yeah, it was a good story. A lot of stuff that's still going on with the Excalibur team back in our normal reality.
We're also dealing with kind of how they're handling certain things without Apocalypse there, because previously he kind of solved it all for them, whether they liked the methods or not. That's what he did, and so now they're having to do it themselves. Solid issue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still enjoying this. This is still probably one of my favorite X-Men books. So
very, very good. Yep. Next up, we've got King in Black, Namor #3. So this continues the history of him when he was a kid with the Tide. The first 3 issues have been an origin of the Black Tide,
which have already showed up in the actual King. I think this was just set up for that.
I think so. I think
and
this
then
was
it'll probably be whatever afterwards.
This was just them hopping on there. We're gonna use Namor all
everywhere.
The time.
I think he's supposed to be showing up in the movies. I think it's one of the reasons they're starting to double down on him.
He's got to be. There's no way they would do Namor this much.
I know,
that was not the case.
Or there's going to be a big Namor event in Avengers next.
I mean, it would make
possibly
sense
dealing with the Black Tide and things like that.
Because it makes sense. That was one of the starting arcs, was creating that tension between them.
Yeah.
Or him and the Squadron Supreme. But good story.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. If you've liked the first 2 issues, definitely worth picking up. If you didn't like the first 2 issues, it's a continuation. You won't like it.
And overall, you probably don't really need this for the actual King in Black event.
So far, you do not. It's just an origin of these evil people, and when it comes down to it, you just need to know that they're evil.
Pretty much.
They're evil.
The whole comic is basically talking about them being evil.
Yeah, or how they became evil.
Yeah.
So.
And how Namor kind of blames himself for it now.
Yeah. Next up, we've got New Mutants #15.
I don't like these mutants. Let's get New Mutants.
Yeah. So this one was one of the ones that I did not like because they constantly call her Scout, and it just reminds me of how much I hate it. She's like one of the main characters, and they keep saying Scout, and it's just like that feels wrong and out of place.
Just get this image of you like just gripping the table at home, angrily reading it.
Pretty much. But yeah, that basically was me. But this is the one with like magic and the kids and handling all of that. This issue has a lot about the wedding, or I guess the reception for Doug Ramsey and
Bay. Yeah, she's Bay.
She is Bay.
She is Bay.
And we have a lot of stuff with Rain, the werewolf,
Purple
and the fact that
Rain.
she lost her child and they're not resurrecting him, and she's trying to deal with that. And then we also have stuff with Gabby.
You mean Scout?
With Gabby and how she's kind of not really feeling like she belongs anywhere. Like she feels like everyone constantly rejects her. She
calls her Scout.
Calls her Scout, and she's like, no, I hate that, just like everyone else. It's a stupid name created by a stupid writer.
Stupid. She's called Speed Weasel.
But we also have some stuff with, if you remember in a previous New Mutants arc where there was like the dream manipulating black orb that they were trying to protect or try and get this girl out of. She is involved, as well as the Shadow King. So it's very clear that he is trying to manipulate her into probably doing stuff on Krakoa that's going to screw everything. But it was fun.
Shadow King.
I mean, it was pretty good if you ignore the Scout part.
You mean Scout?
That, it was I enjoyed
Which Scout part? The part where they call her Scout?
Next up, we have
that's her name.
Savage Avengers
Scout.
#17. The art was horrible.
Yeah, not a big fan. I don't like the way they. I mean, one, they made Conan look like a generic biker guy.
They made Conan kind of look like the Punisher.
A little bit, yeah.
But they
like a
at
long-haired
least
Punisher.
kept his attitude, Conan.
Yes.
With the fact that he's like, "Oh, you heal.
Good.
Let me shove
I will kick you through the. I like when he was like, "Hold on, I'm going to kick you to the other side." Yes. Other than the art, I do Conan's interactions with Deadpool was fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it was a pretty solid issue. It's just basically Conan and Deadpool breaking out of prison.
Yeah.
I don't know why Deadpool's in prison. They didn't specify that. Or why Conan is in prison. They didn't specify that. But it's the two of them breaking out.
And then
for some reason, Conan looks like a biker and wields a shotgun, even though in the first arc, Conan was like, this is a horrible weapon when he threw aside a gun.
Then he used it and he's like,
oh, yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Where Punisher gave him like a machine gun, and he was like, oh.
It's like, this is what they do.
Yeah, it was a pretty good issue, though. Other than, like I said, I felt like even the art itself technically wasn't bad. It was just the way they kind of like drew Conan and stuff didn't make any sense.
And this is the King in Black tie-in where Conan is going to be the one affected by the symbiote.
Yes, because he did technically have a symbiote sword for a little while that healed a wound in his chest. So, but then they also kind of make it sound like that happened in Samaria.
Yes, because they make it seem like
technically happened in our time.
They make it seem like Kulan Goth, I believe, also is imprinted.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
It's a whole thing. I'm sure we'll find out more. Next time.
But the actual individual issue was pretty solid.
Next up, another fantastic issue this week, Shang-Chi #5.
Oh, the last issue.
Concluded it so well.
It was a good ending. It was a good ending.
It did not feel rushed.
No.
It felt like it fit all the characters. At no point did I go, well, that seems wrong for that person.
I feel like this was a really good setup story for the upcoming movie. I think this was a good introduction for the character for people who didn't know him, which I didn't. I knew of Shang-Chi, but I didn't really know anything about him.
Yep, same.
So I think this was a good setup, while at the same time, they didn't act like it was his first appearance.
Right.
But I think this is a great setup. I think the art was good. The storytelling was fantastic. And it actually made me really excited for Shang-Chi.
Me too.
Even though, I mean, it's a Marvel movie, I'll go see it anyway. But I was like, oh, now I really want to see Shang-Chi, actually. Yeah. So, this is a good story.
Probably one of my favorite arcs or favorite stories in
recently. I think
or maybe not favorite, but one of the ones that every single issue I've been
enjoying.
Is worth.
Yeah, I've been enjoying. Yeah, I hope they do, because this was just a 5-issue miniseries, so I hope they do a main book.
And keep this artist. It works so well.
It does. I think it really, really.
I think anyone else could probably not do it as well. Next up, we've got Strange Academy #7. So last time the kids had been jumping through the doors, they ended up in the swamp. The son of Dormammu died, and another girl.
Did he bargain?
What?
Did he bargain?
Nah, not yet.
No.
He died, and the entire issue was kind of about Doctor Strange. When they came back, he was like, no, I have to save the girl. And they're like, yes, but we can take the son to Dormammu. Maybe he can relight it. And he's like, yes, but what he can and can't do is different from what I can do right now. And it's like a big issue of kind of what you see a lot of the time with doctors, of prioritizing patients when you know one might be a lost cause and one you might be able to save. And even though it's a really hard decision, it's a decision that has to be made. This happens all the time in real life. Like, that's just the way that it is. And we learned that it wasn't, I suppose it was not the son of Dormammu that was the chosen one. It was this girl, because in a previous issue we had that entire thing and they implied it was the son. It was not, but it was
that's lucky.
It was a very interesting issue that I feel I feel like we have finally set up for some like action. Something important that's not just kids being kids at a magic school. I think we're finally in the, okay, now they have been forced into the real world. How are they going to do
now
this?
They fight Voldemort.
Pretty much.
What?
Sure.
What?
But yeah, so that is
it.
Strange Academy #7. I believe we had at least one more. Yes. Wolverine. Oh, two more, actually. Wolverine #9.
Completely didn't see this one.
So this one was actually pretty good.
Okay.
Wolverine previously went to Madripoor as Patch once again.
Nobody recognizes him.
Well, obviously
it's like
not.
the Clark Kent thing with glasses.
They're doing an auction for different things. He's there for a mutant that's being auctioned, but it turns out they're also auctioning off one of his hands. And he's like, I do not remember them taking my hand.
Did I lose it? He looks down at his own hand.
Is that
Okay, I got both.
And he's there for Maverick. I don't know if you know him.
Yes, I know who Maverick is. Yeah.
Previous Task
Force X. No, Weapon X.
Weapon X.
Merc?
Team member.
Yeah. He was one of the original mutants back then. Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically the issue. Is standard Wolverine stuff intermingled. We get flashbacks to how he's related to this guy.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out actually, because Maverick had his own book in the 90s that I enjoyed.
I actually thought it was solid. I was a little worried where they were going to go with the patch thing, because it is one of those ones where it's like, really? But I thought they did a great job. It's worth reading. And our final comic of the week, X-Men number 17.
I definitely didn't read this one either. I think I probably opened them and then forgot to read them.
This one, I don't remember how they got here. For one,
well, it's X-Men.
It's related
Hickman's
to
big on that right now.
Chandra, I'm not sure if you remember the Rogue and Gambit story.
Yes.
So you remember the egg that turned into the girl that is the daughter of Xavier and became the queen of the Shi'ar. She is the main. She got kidnapped. The X-Men have been called in to help with it, and I don't know if this was in the past. I have a feeling it was in the past, because it ends with her going, "I owe you a favor. Ask it any time that you need," which is pretty much saying, "Hey, the next issue that you need us, just let me.
Yeah, we'll show up.
Know."
You can call me Deus Ex Machina.
Pretty much.
And then she walks away.
Pretty much. And that's the issue.
Okay, fair enough.
There's not too much else to be said, but it has to be in the past because of the costumes that they're wearing.
That is very much older X-Men style.
Yeah. It's either older X-Men or they're going to be returning to this on their new team, but I'm thinking
that's
this
possible.
Is in the
Maybe
past.
They were like, well, we got a new Krakoan Taylor. Maybe we should test out these new spandex. Huh? Although they do look very 90s to me.
Very, very nice. The hair gives it away.
Yeah. They do look pretty 90s.
That brings us to the conclusion of today's episode of Comicstorian Weekly.
You're welcome.
Also, WandaVision, episodes 1 through 3. Very good, very weird. It's going to pick up
overall,
soon.
I think I have enjoyed them. I said this last week.
The first two I was very iffy on, and I think if I was not watching it for work, I would have a much harder time staying on.
Fair enough.
But I think issue 3 kind of started to go, okay, where's this going?
Well, yeah, that's why I've enjoyed them. I mean, so basically the first 3 first 3 episodes are just a sitcom. With obviously some weird stuff going on. It's pretty obvious she's in some sort of reality.
Yep.
It's not obvious whether she's doing it or if somebody's doing it to her. But there is the moments where the reality starts to crack and break, and that's where the tension, I think, is coming from.
Yep.
I've seen the trailer for the 4th episode. It looks like we're going to get a lot more of what's going on outside of her sitcom reality.
I also just read House of M, and
it does seem very like it could be going that route.
It seems like it's going bare minimum to that outline.
Yeah, like maybe she created this perfect reality for her. I don't know, but overall I have enjoyed it. However, if you are going in expecting for like normal MCU action, so far you're going to be wildly disappointed.
Yes, you'll be very disappointed, and
yeah,
not much else to say because it was such a bizarre thing. There's not too much to harp on. So
it does have some funny moments, though.
It does have some good moments. Worth checking out if you got Disney Plus. Check it out. But that brings us to the conclusion. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this episode of Comicstorian Weekly. If you want to support us, you can go to gfuel.com, use code COMICS at checkout, save 10% on your order, or go to patreon.com/Comicstorian. $2 access to this podcast early and other great early content. Or you can join us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Comicstorian, where we film this live every Thursday at roughly 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.